Most Peppa Pig fans are smart enough to catch the hidden messages scattered throughout the show, but some details still manage to slip by unnoticed. So, do you know which moments from the show only older viewers noticed and understood? One of the most obvious things the show's creators might need to change is how Alexander Pig, Peppa and George's younger cousin, suffers due to his parents' inexperience, and as a result, he cries a lot. If you pay close attention to all the episodes, you'll notice that the baby cousin of the main character cries constantly. And no, that's not normal. Sure, very young children cry because it's their only way of communicating, but Alexander's crying frequency is way too high, which could indicate a problem. Adult Peppa Pig fans can spot the inexperience of Peppa's aunt and uncle when it comes to raising their child. Maybe they should consult Dr. Bear to see if baby Alexander might need some medication, or perhaps there's another factor affecting the little piglet's growth. In today's video, you'll see moments from Peppa Pig that only adults have noticed. Grab some popcorn and invite your grandma, because another episode of Cinewave is about to begin. Another thing adult Peppa Pig fans have noticed is how Daddy Pig, unfortunately, gets mistreated sometimes. Our favorite big pig often becomes the target of unkind comments from both the townsfolk and even his own family. Of course, this is done for humor in the show, but we've gathered some examples to highlight the meanness Peppa and others direct at him. In the episode Fun Run, the school roof breaks for the umpteenth time, and Daddy Pig suggests organizing a fun run to raise money. However, everyone doubts his ability and ends up paying just to see him run, implying that they only came to watch him fail. Why doesn't anyone want to run alongside him? They just want to watch. Then there's the Father's Day episode, where everyone forgets about the day meant to celebrate Daddy Pig. They don't prepare anything special for him, and Mummy Pig even says the occasion isn't that important. It's truly sad how Daddy Pig gets treated sometimes. Do you remember his birthday? Peppa jokes that he needs so many candles on his cake because he's very old. That's yet another detail only adults would pick up on. We bet you have plenty of energy to play, don't you? But one thing that comes with age is losing that youthful enthusiasm. Grandpa Pig, who is quite advanced in age, often shows how tiring it can be for older folks to keep up with kids. Both he and Granny Pig get easily worn out when playing with their grandchildren. One example is in the Christmas morning episode when Peppa and George wake them up early. If you look closely, you can see how exhausted Grandpa Pig feels. Another instance is the episode where Grandpa Pig takes the kids to the playground. In this story, he's tasked with looking after Peppa, George, and their friends. It becomes quite clear that Grandpa Pig doesn't understand the playground rules and struggles to keep up with the younger ones. Throughout the series, many fans wondered about Mr. Bull's life before it was revealed that he and Mrs. Cow were a couple. In Peppa Pig, most of the adult characters are married and have children. It's common to see parents at Madame Gazelle's school. Although Mr. Bull didn't have children, he still appeared at community events. Then one day, younger fans were caught off guard by the wedding of the year, but adult viewers of Peppa Pig had already picked up on clues hinting at their relationship. One example is seeing Mrs. Cow at the shopping mall alongside a younger calf. The calf, known as Claire Cow, appears with Mrs. Cow in the background of several episodes. In another episode, the same young character is shown standing next to Mr. Bull, confirming that there was indeed a relationship between them. Tell us a secret. Do you have a secret romance? Then comment with #love so we can get the scoop on this gossip. Another detail frequently seen in Peppa Pig but often missed by younger viewers is how much adults have to work, not just to support their families, but also to accomplish difficult projects. A great example is the episode where Daddy Pig is tasked with building a house for Mr. Wolf and his family as they need a place to live. There's a moment when Peppa draws a swing set on the house's design, which Daddy Pig thinks is a great idea for the wolf cubs. However, this also shows that Peppa doesn't fully understand the seriousness of the task. Normally, you can't make changes to important plans without approval. In the same episode, Peppa and George find the hard work of building a house fun and almost like a game. While this is understandable in a children's show, older fans of Peppa Pig recognize the seriousness of the project and the effort Daddy Pig puts in to get it done. There's one episode that perfectly shows how some topics in Peppa Pig are more meaningful than they seem, something only adults would truly understand. In this episode, Susie Sheep announces that she'll be moving away for the first time, and Peppa learns what it means to say goodbye to someone close. Mrs. Sheep has received a job offer, which means Susie would have to move to the other side of the world. Saying goodbye to friends is already tough, but the detail only adults catch is Mrs. Sheep's disappointment when she finds out she didn't get the job. The episode ends happily for the children as Susie gets to stay, but for Mrs. Sheep, it's bittersweet. She really needed that job to secure a better future for her daughter. Plus, moving to a big city was a career milestone she was excited about. Losing the opportunity must have been a big letdown for her, something the younger audience wouldn't fully grasp. As mentioned earlier, most of the adult characters in Peppa Pig are married. However, there are fan theories suggesting that Mrs. Cat might not be entirely faithful to her husband. Before diving into that, let's talk about a curious moment from the relationship between Daddy and Mummy Pig during the Valentine's Day episode. In this episode, Mummy Pig writes a heartfelt Valentine's card for Daddy Pig. Instead of handing it to him personally, she decides to send it through the mail. This bothers Daddy Pig, as he wonders if Mummy Pig also gave a Valentine's card to the mailman, Mr. Zebra. She quickly clears up the misunderstanding, explaining that Mr. Zebra is merely delivering the card she wrote for Daddy Pig and didn't receive anything from her himself. We think this might be a touch of jealousy on Daddy Pig's part. Later in the same episode, when the entire town decides to send Valentine's cards to Daddy Pig, it's Mummy Pig's turn to feel jealous. She's not thrilled to learn that so many people decided to declare their love for her husband. This is definitely one of those situations only adults watching the show would fully understand. When it comes to Mrs. Cat, the show's creators have never confirmed anything about her personal life. This kind of topic would obviously never be explored in a children's cartoon. However, due to an animation error, some fans began joking about the possibility of Mrs. Cat being unfaithful. The biggest clue comes from a scene where Peppa's family visits a restaurant. In the episode Grandpa Pig's Birthday, Peppa's family goes to celebrate at what is clearly a romantic venue. Did you spot Mrs. Cat sitting there? Normally, there wouldn't be anything unusual about her dining with her husband in such a setting. However, an animation mistake changed the color of the character, making it look like she was dining with someone other than Mr. Cat. For reference, here's the real Mr. Cat. Can you spot the difference? The fur of Mrs. Cat's friend has a slightly different tone, which is why many fans believe this might actually be another character. Of course, this could just be an animation error, but this kind of mistake happens often enough to spark speculation. That's why adults who come up with this theory think the show's creators might be subtly implying something deeper. It's a detail younger viewers wouldn't notice, but older fans definitely have their suspicions. You know what would show that you're truly loyal to the channel? Subscribing and hitting the notification bell! In the episode where Daddy Pig is building Mr. Wolf's house, Wendy Wolf's dad asks Daddy Pig what the house of Peppa's family is made of. This is actually a joke referencing the classic story of the Three Little Pigs, where each pig builds a house from a different material. This tale is quite old, and what Mr. Wolf is subtly implying is that he wants to eat Daddy Pig's family, much like the Big Bad Wolf, a comment that, of course, would be a crime. And when it comes to crimes, older viewers understand them far better than younger ones. Of course, children understand a lot about friendship. Many people have friends they've known since childhood, and that's probably the case for Peppa and Susie. But have you ever stopped to think that maybe their friendship isn't as great as it seems? There are moments in their relationship that hints at something less than perfect. For example, when Susie says Peppa talks too much and that Peppa needs to be quiet to avoid annoying her friends. Or when Susie finds out she won't be moving away and Peppa asks for the presents back. This is a clear example of bad manners and a lack of true friendship. Then there's the time they fight over a card game. Of course, friends argue, but perhaps the relationship between these two isn't as solid as it appears, and every adult knows that sometimes friendships just don't work out. Do you know what an intrusive person is? It's someone who wants to know about things that aren't their business or even goes to places without being invited. In Peppa Pig, we see this with the kangaroos from Australia, who literally show up at the pig's family's house uninvited and throw a barbecue. It's great to host friends and have a party, but a polite way to celebrate is to ask first and get permission to use someone else's space. Adults know just how important that is. And last but not least, one thing that only adults truly understand, actually only adult women, is the difficulty and care that comes with pregnancy. In the episode where Mrs. Rabbit, Rebecca's mother, is pregnant, we can see how serious this topic is, but the younger viewers might not fully grasp the gravity of it, at least not as much as their parents. It seems like the secret to creating a successful show like Peppa Pig or Bluey is crafting stories for the whole family, and the key to that is addressing topics that resonate with adults too. You can always count on our channel to keep explaining these topics to you. Until then, we've got 2 more pieces of content for everyone to enjoy. We'll see you in the next video.